Not a fan of hers. I wasn't from day one. I think Harry has been used horribly. I think someday he will regret it. You know, a lot of people...
What happens when one controversial celeb encounters another? Complete chaos, that's what. Former President Donald Trump has always been outspoken. Anyone knows this. And once again, his mouth has run wild. This time, the person on the receiving end is none other than the rebellious royal, Meghan Markle. So what has Meghan done, and why is Trump disrespecting her? Well, he seems to think that she has some audacity and is destroying the reputation of the royal family. That's a pretty big accusation. So let's get into it. In an interview with British broadcaster Nigel Farage, Trump put Meghan on blast for her alleged awful treatment of Prince Harry and the Queen. Trump outright said that he wasn't a fan of Meghan because she was disrespectful to the Queen. He clearly has a soft spot for the Queen, as Trump gave her some pretty high praise as a great and historic person. This all came about after Farage commented on how Meghan used writing paper that was headed with Duchess of Sussex in order to lobby members of Congress. Traditionally, royals have to remain neutral when it comes to politics. However, Meghan broke the rules to campaign for parents to get paid parental leave. So what's the big deal? Why is Trump so bothered? Well, he believes that Meghan is doing things that he finds to be very inappropriate. This does seem a teeny tiny bit hypocritical from the only US president to ever be impeached twice and has a reputation for some questionable behavior. Is it worth mentioning that Trump and Farage were always going to get on like a house on fire? And maybe a little biased when it comes to their interactions? Farage is somewhat a disgraced politician in the UK, and was once the leader of the UK Independence Party, also cleverly known as UKIP. The party had some pretty strong ideologies that headed way over to the right, and Farage seemed to be a big admirer of Trump. Not only that, but Farage has also taken a dislike to Meghan Markle in the past. The network GP News also doesn't seem to be the biggest fan of Meghan Markle, period. Another news host, Colin Brazier, slammed Meghan for cold calling American senators and using her royal title to get through to someone on the phone. He didn't agree with the fact that Meghan was using the title after she had so publicly spoken against the royal family. So is this why Trump is so annoyed and dislikes Meghan so much? It does seem kind of weird that she would cash in on her influence as a royal when she has worked so hard not to be one. It's a little confusing and maybe even suspicious. Why is she still holding on to that title? With that being said, Meghan also isn't the biggest fan of Trump, and maybe he's just mad about it. Back when Trump ran for president in 2020, Meghan urged voters to hit polling booths for what would be an important election, and for people to put their values into action. Seems harmless enough, right? Well, Meghan has never been a fan of Trump, so at least this feeling is very mutual. Back in 2016, she was so horrified by the idea of Trump becoming president, she vowed to leave the country and never return. That turned out well. Meghan was very open about supporting Trump's opponent Hillary Clinton during her entire presidential campaign. No punches were pulled when Meghan heavily criticized Trump, calling him misogynistic, and stating that he made it easy to see that you don't really want that kind of world that he's painting. It's pretty clear that there was never any love lost between Meghan and Trump. Following Meghan's call to voters in 2020, in another classic Trump move, he made a snarky comment in response, stating that he wished Prince Harry luck because he was going to need it. Naturally, Meghan didn't take this lying down. In an interview following Trump's comments, she can be seen to almost laugh it off. She states that any comments she has made about Trump aren't really controversial, and that the only inflammatory thing is how people react to her. Here's the thing, Meghan has a good point here. When appealing to voters and urging them to use their voices, she never actually mentions Trump specifically. She just wants the public to go to the polls. Trump definitely has an issue with her, and that's most likely because she has been pretty vocal about intense disgust about Trump as a president. Trump also doesn't do well when encountering women who speak their minds and aren't afraid to stand up against him. When campaigning against Hillary Clinton, Trump didn't hold back, making so many claims against her to ruin her run for president, and it worked. Hillary stated that Trump made her skin crawl. So again, there's a pretty intense hatred between Trump and a woman in power. It seems like he has a type. Let's not forget that the two have never met before. So Trump's impression of Meghan is just going to be based on what tabloids report about her. And let's face it, those reports aren't usually good. The British press has hardly ever been kind to Meghan, and she has plenty of other famous critics that Trump would get along with. Hating on Meghan Markle just seems like the go-to for a lot of power people. But what would happen if the table turned? Meghan is in a unique position where she can do anything she wants. Could a career in politics be in her future? She might even run for president herself one day. Seems a little far-fetched, right? Well, a former duchess becoming the leader of the US could actually be possible. And there would be no better way to prove her critics than to become the next president of the United States. It sounds just like a crazy rumor, but Meghan's new biographer thinks that she has a good chance of taking the Oval Office. Going further, the biographer even stated, "I really believe it's where she sees herself going." As it turns out, Meghan and Prince Harry welcomed Hillary Clinton's former campaign advisor earlier this year, so politics may be on the cards. Becoming president would certainly be a bold move for Meghan. Plus, the expected presidential visit to the UK would certainly be interesting because she is now free of the royal family and her titles. Even though she insists on using them, she can get into politics without the fear of breaking royal protocol or insulting the Queen. Again, Meghan does this fine on her own, but at least she wouldn't have to worry about any royal fine print. However, that same biographer did issue a warning, just in case anyone was feeling a little too optimistic. Apparently, Meghan's sensitivity might be a problem for her if she is going to be a political leader. People in power face a lot of backlash and criticism. It's something that's just part of the job. Also, Meghan would be in the public eye more than ever. No leader can ever escape the press and the people. Given that she's been pretty vocal about how she's suffered under the public gaze, would Meghan be able to deal with the pressure of such an important role? And let's not forget those allegations by royal staff that Meghan is not the best person to work with. Sources claimed that in the short time that Meghan was part of the royal family, she would make staff cry and even forced 2 senior members into quitting their jobs because the bullying supposedly got so bad. So, if Meghan wanted to campaign for that spot in the White House, she would have to get a reliable team on her side. She would then have to get support in the Senate and then win over voters. Given that she can divide a lot of opinions, this may be a significant battle for her if she decides to run for president. Maybe we should take this idea with a pinch of salt. The biographer reportedly signed a 6-figure deal to write about Meghan, so the money might be clouding his judgment a bit. But Meghan is ambitious and outspoken, so she might make the perfect politician. And we must admit, President Markle does have a nice ring to it. Can't get enough of our Meghan Markle content? You should check out our other videos so you can be up to date on all the juicy royal details. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. See you next time.